Hello, and welcome to the Hanging with Christina channel. Today's blog post is blog post number 8, and it is called I'll Be There For You. It was uploaded onto WordPress.com on February 23rd, 2022. And we're all set. Let's begin with I'll Be There For You. Oh, and just as a reminder, the link to my blog is in the description box. Now here is I'll Be There For You. Welcome! So happy you are able to join us today. Today is all about my favorite TV show in the whole world, Friends. Yes, it is my all-time favorite show. I have watched all 10 seasons all the way through at least 10 times. I never get tired of watching it. Most of the time, I'll just have it playing in the background while I'm cleaning or cooking. I've seen it so many times, I don't even need to see the TV in order to know what's happening. I can just hear a line and know exactly what the characters are doing and what they're going to say next. Do I still laugh? Of course! Although, most of the time now, I laugh before the punchline because I know it's coming. Now, because there are 10 seasons and I have so much going through my head, I had a hard time deciding where to start. So why not start with the beloved characters? Chandler Bing, Phoebe Buffay, Monica Geller, Ross Geller, Rachel Green, and Joey Tribbiani. Yes, I did put them in order alphabetically by last name. I just thought it would be easier that way, at least for me. Now, let's start with Chandler Bing. Chandler is my favorite character. Most of the time, I feel like I'm similar to Chandler. I think it's more of his sense of humor than anything else, but he's also a good friend. He helped Joey out with a lot of things: money, running lines, consoling. Chandler is an only child, and I am not. I think Chandler is so funny, whether he's trying to be or not. His awkwardness is somewhat endearing. But when it comes to the people he cares about the most, he'll do anything. He quit his job for a couple of reasons, but mostly because he couldn't stand being away from the love of his life. He walked Phoebe down the aisle when she didn't have anybody else. The point is, Chandler is really sweet. He's a lovable character when he isn't trying to be funny. He is most definitely there for his friends. Chandler is awesome. Phoebe Buffay, what can I say about her? Well, she's definitely an interesting character. She's quirky, but funny and loving. Her small group of friends is the family she never got to have. Yeah, Phoebe has a twin sister, but they never really got along. She had her grandmother too until her grandma passed away. Phoebe also has a half brother, but she hardly sees him because he's raising his 3 kids. Phoebe had a difficult childhood, but she turned out to be a great person. She has an interesting outlook on life. Phoebe is a really sweet and thoughtful person. She gave up being Monica's maid of honor so Rachel could do it because it meant more to Rachel. Phoebe became a surrogate so her half-brother could become a dad. She helped Chandler when he was struggling to find an engagement ring for Monica. She even tried standing up for Ross, albeit in her own unique way, when the people in his new apartment building were giving him a hard time. Phoebe may be unique, but she's there for the people that matter to her most, in her own special way. Now, Monica. What do I say about Monica Geller? She is one of my least favorite characters. I find her to be arrogant and self-centered. She doesn't come off as self-centered all the time, but more times than should be necessary, at least in my opinion. She does talk extremely loud and fast, which can get annoying at times, especially when she thinks she knows what she's talking about. Monica is there for her friends too, but I feel like it only happens when it matters the most. Sometimes not even then. When there are big moments, Monica is being too controlling and unlikable, even when it's about herself. As you can see, I am not a fan of Monica. Although one moment comes to mind where Monica was thoughtful. She had bought 2 plane tickets for her and Chandler to fly to Las Vegas so Chandler could see Joey, because Joey and Chandler had a fight about Joey's movie. I feel like the moments where Monica was sweet and thoughtful were, few and far between. I could be wrong. Maybe someone else out there has a different opinion of Monica than I do. There could be other moments where Monica did something nice, but the tickets to Las Vegas just so Chandler could see Joey was the first thing that came to mind. I just thought of another thing that Monica did that was nice. It was when Phoebe's apartment caught fire. Monica had an extra bedroom, therefore allowed Phoebe to stay as long as she needed. Ross Geller. I have a problem with him. He is my absolute least favorite character of the 6. Most of the stuff, I have to say, do not paint him in a very flattering light. He too is self-centered and arrogant. Just because he has a PhD doesn't mean he has to put his friends down and make them feel stupid. They all know he has a PhD, so there's no need for him to rub it in their faces. Ross gets jealous too easily, and he is possessive, especially when it comes to Rachel. I think I hated him the most when he was in a relationship with Rachel the first time. I'm just really upset and disappointed with him that he couldn't respect Rachel and her job. Rachel told him that she didn't have the time, that she was busy with work, and yet he still tried to push the envelope just so he could see her. Why couldn't he just respect what she was doing? Okay, so he had barely seen Rachel the whole week, so what? She was doing her job and working hard at it. If it were the other way around, she would have respected it. They could have celebrated their anniversary on another day, or had gone away for the weekend, or something else to make up for having to miss celebrating their anniversary on the actual day. I'm sorry, but to me, Ross is just an unlikable character. I cannot stand him. Although, I will give him this. There were a few times when he actually was really sweet. The first thing that comes to mind that stands out the most is when Ross bought Phoebe her very first bike. He had bought the bike after he had heard Phoebe's story of when she was a kid. The story just made Ross feel sad for her, and he went out and bought her her own bike. Another time was when he bought Rachel's birthday present back in the first season. Ross bought her a brooch that she had seen in a store window that reminded her of one that her grandmother once had. I thought that was sweet and thoughtful. It's very rare that Ross would do something so sweet, but when he does, it really is something. Yes, Rachel Green. I feel like Rachel showed the most growth out of all the 6 main characters. She started off being spoiled, living off of daddy's money, and not having a job. Then she worked her way up in the fashion business. She worked for Bloomingdale's, Ralph Lauren, she had an interview with Gucci, and she got a job offer with Louis Vuitton. Her first paid job was being a waitress at the coffee house, or as we all know, Central Perk. Then she found her way to Bloomingdale's. From Bloomingdale's, she went to Ralph Lauren. She was with Ralph Lauren for about 5 years. Within her time at Ralph Lauren, She had worked her way up to becoming head of a department. Sure, Rachel still had some spending habits, and she still whined from time to time, but overall, she showed the most growth. Now, nothing in my head really stands out, of the nice things Rachel has done for her friends, but I'm sure there are things Rachel has done. But maybe they were the little things, which to me sometimes matters the most. I'll have to go back and watch them again, which I have no problem with. I do know that she is there to listen to her friends when there is something bothering them. Last but not least, Joey Tribbiani, the lovable, dim witted actor Joey. Now, Joey is not book smart, but he is very sweet. When it comes to his friends, he can be very wise. Joey speaks from the heart. You know when Joey is having a heart to heart with someone because his voice becomes soft and tender. He doesn't come off as being dumb or funny. Joey is all heart. He stepped up to officiate 2 weddings, Phoebe's and Chandler and Monica's, when no other ministers were available or they weren't good enough. Joey also let Rachel move in with him when she had nowhere else to go. He helped Ross when he was struggling with the idea of Rachel dating someone new. He was there for Phoebe when she needed consoling when the man whom she thought was the love of her life had to go back to Minsk. Joey is always there for his friends. Sure, he might be the ultimate ladies' man, but when it comes to his friends, nothing else matters. For me, Joey is the friend, even if he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed. Joey will always be there for you. Thank you for joining us today. Hope to see you again soon.